So this vlog is about today. Um, Last vlog was about this afternoon, coming from school. I went to school. We had some type of like lab. Long story short, harassment, right? Always vehicle harassment. We're going to look into that right now. I get into lab, and of course, what they do is they will orchestrate abuse in the lab group. Anyone who is in your vicinity. So if they know, for example, you're going to be working with somebody, then that somebody is always the antagonist, always a provocateur, always a problem. Okay. What they're doing is they condition you, like it's operant conditioning for you to not like be acquainted with people. It's always operant conditioning to be social. They use abuse, and they barricade you and isolate you socially and make sure that you're not affiliated socially and you don't have any contribution. They undermine the information and the topics. And in this case, we were talking about blood compatibility, and the instructions are showing that you're supposed to do a certain number of drops with antibodies and rhesus antigen. And our instructions are to do 3 drops a piece with every blood group. We had like 4 groups, and every one of those groups had an A, a B, and then a rhesus. And so anyways, there's special instructions on exposing each of those groups to a certain number of drops. In this case, I believe it's 3 of either a antigen A or antigen B, or Rh positive, rhesus positive, which is technically antigen D. And so long story short, I'm standing by these 2 females, and these are the females that are directly behind me. And they always use these females for abuse in some way, shape, or fashion. And the female wants to undermine, and this is very, very common. They always want to undermine and gaslight you, and they start doing disinformation by saying, we don't really, we're just going to listen to the doctor. And I'm trying to, and it also, they're going to say, well, I only seen this, or there's only one answer, or if it's a plural thing, what they'll do is they'll just put one answer down. But even though the question is plural and you have to do like multiple things, or they'll always contradict what you're saying, and and even though it's right, they'll say it's wrong. And the objective is to get under your skin, right? The objective is to get under your skin. Also, you often hear, this is a gaslighting thing by the professors, is, oh, I wouldn't worry about the book, or I wouldn't worry about the details. Like, don't go into the details that much, okay? But the details is what you're testing on, right? The details is what you're testing on, okay? It's always some type of undermining, basically, of your intelligence. Okay? It's always a contortion, if you will, telling you, oh, I don't really think that there's only any other answer, but the only answer that I know on this, even though it says there's multiple, is bloodborne pathogens, right? And so they're trying to target this whole STD thing. And so the only answer that they'll put down is bloodborne pathogens or blood pathogens, even though there's multiple, right? The question, let's just track back just in case I want to get clarity on this later. But we're talking transfusion reactions. We're talking what would a person during a transfusion or a donor have to appreciate prior. Maybe a checklist, right? There's always a checklist, especially if you're donating or doing a transfusion, like cross and match, for example. And the thing is the only answer that they wanted to put down, even though we have to put multiple ones down, and this is like a group deal, so it's like the group grade type thing. They want to make sure, so it's like this tension, right? And of course, I'm going to be like, there's a lot more, right? I'm a healthcare provider, like I've already seen and kind of went through a lot of this. Of course, I have a lot to say. Of course, I know a lot. So, long story short, she's being him. It's not just her, but it's like her and the classmate are being kind of like stiff, if you will. They're stiff on the fact that this is the only thing that we're going to put down. Okay. On top of that, when we were to put 3 drops in there, they put 5 or 6. I confronted them about that. I said, are we supposed to be doing that? Because the instructions said 3 for each ones, not 5 or 6. 5 or 6 is the number of relationships that I've been in romantically. Okay. And the fact that the only answer that they wanted to put down there was bloodborne pathogens. Okay. So they're always trying to target my manhood, always trying to target and always trying to target me and harass me and bully me. Okay. In physician assistant school, I was forced to withdraw in OBGYN. These people are the same people who use crowd influence, okay, to lead me to women with STDs. And when I was working at the ambulance service, they would often lead me to these women with STDs. Okay. This is narcissism on steroids. Okay. This is immense crowd control. And this is the planning and the preemptive, premeditated oppression, which then they work off of. Okay. So that happened today, where the 2 women in the group wanted to use semantics and use an answer exclusively bloodborne pathogens, no other things that are on a clear list, right, of potential things you would consider for a transfusion, were the only answers that they wanted to come up with, even though the question says write multiple. Okay. And then they know that there's more to a lot of the questions. So if I try to add to that, they want to make sure that they don't do it. And the objective here, again, is always abrasion. Right? So for those people who are growing up as a teenager, growing up as a young adult, and you just think that you don't fit in, it's not that you don't fit in. It's that you're being targeted. Okay. And you feel like, and what they're doing is they're working off of you. All right. Always trying to create antagonism. So when you go in there, they know that you enjoy perfusion. They know you are, paramedic, critical care paramedic. We're talking chest tubes, right? Swan-Ganz. We're talking LVADs, right? We're talking, you love EKGs, cardiologies, right? All that good stuff. This is your favorite module. Oh, this is your favorite, yada, yada. Again, this is called saturating, where they take the areas of your hot buttons, okay? Those hot buttons and them triggers, okay? And they try to undermine that. In this case, that's what they did in the group today. Now, that's not all of what happened today. Of course, on the way there, we're going to look at the vehicles and the abuse by the vehicles on the way there and back right now. So this is me this morning. The time says 9:48, but I believe, actually, that is correct. That is actually correct. So it's Saturday morning, and the white car thing is, I noticed the small white car thing has been one of their attacks. And at this intersection here, every day I leave this intersection, okay, every single time I come to this and I leave this intersection, I stop here. Down here, you could barely see it, but down here, they'll have white SUV every single time cross that intersection. They'll either cross the intersection right here and go to the gas station, or they'll take a left and go away from me. But every single time I come to this exact intersection, no matter what time of day, okay, no matter what day of the week, they have a white SUV driving right across the road. In this case, this one turned left and went that way. And that's what you see here. You just can't distinguish it because it's so far. Okay. So here's something that is very interesting. Do you see these blue trailers right here? So this is something that another tactic that I've spoken about back in vlogs 40, I believe, or 30. I'm not 100%, maybe even 50 series. what they have here on the side of the road is an inanimate blue object. I'm going to play it right about here, right here. That's it right there. Okay. This right here, I'm going to play it again. Bam, got it. See that right there? So these people that know you're going to school, they've taken these inanimate objects. And this is super common, like tactic of abuse. They'll even use like the yellow warning or railroad signs. And then what they'll do is they'll bring in a yellow Jeeps and yellow cars. One time back in like 2015 or 16 or 17, I can't recall, I actually had a yellow bug in front of me, like a Volkswagen. And then they took another yellow car and drove behind me. And then they had a bunch of these yellow signs come up. And what's interesting is that the level of precision and the level of accuracy is at such a degree significant that they know they placed this here, okay, and that I would drive by at a particular time. Okay. And this is them demonstrating this almighty power, like this ability to drive and orchestrate precision and accuracy, like they're the Blue Angels or something. Okay. And so I'm going to play that one more time. And so they know this. It's not a coincidence that this blue chair is here. Okay. And then you have these blue. This is an orchestration. And this is how they fuck with your visual field, also known as visual pollution. And it's no different than noise pollution, both of which on paper and in research are known to deteriorate, your health. Okay. And they don't give a fuck. That's the problem, is they don't give a damn. Okay. Being exposed as a child, as a cancer survivor, I'm predisposed when I'm under all the stress. I'm predisposed to secondary cancers by like 90%, right? And so I was actually told by Joseph Rose that I would succumb to cancer when I'm 36, right? So they're trying to stress you out, is what he filled my head with. They're trying to stress you out, and you're probably going to get cancer when you're 36. And then from that point on, I've had roommates in Virginia try to use that storyline, and they'll walk by me and say, life will be over when you're 36. Life will be over when you're 36, right? So they're using this stress, right, to instigate multiple physical and health ailments, right, where your cortisol levels are high, right? So you have higher cholesterol and you're more apt to have atherosclerosis, right? And have a heart attack earlier, right? Age faster. And so they fill your head with all of these things, and then they say they never said it. And then once Joseph Rose tells me all of these things, all of these storylines about my life and all of these unique chapters and all of these events that are going to happen in my life, people then run off of that and they'll walk by you and gaslight you with things that he said, okay, so that they can continue to use fear mongering and continue to abuse you. But this is a perfect example of how precise and accurate the abuse is. Okay, this is a perfect example, and this is not the first time. Okay, this has been just like the jacket, 2 or 3 vlogs ago. I don't ever put a jacket or anything in my kayak up here in my cubby. I think I may have put it in a cubby. We're talking like 2018, 2019. So you're talking like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Okay. The fact that there's a jacket right there at the fishing, okay, at the fishing launch. Okay. And I had just stopped at the church before. That's in vlog 78, I believe, or 79. Okay. So go and just reference that. Okay. That this is the type of trash that people are on. And they're willing to use trash and inanimate objects, as I've shown you, in previous three or four vlogs. They're willing to use trash and inanimate objects as a means of abuse, known as ambient abuse by proxy. Okay? And these trucks will drive by exactly as you drive by the object. Okay? That is not a coincidence. That's staged. That happens a lot. And it's happened since 2014 quite a bit. The other thing is they'll take two vehicles and they will drive beside you simultaneously in synchrony. So they will have one vehicle drive in the left lane, one vehicle drive on the right lane, and they will then pass you by as if putting you in between. Okay, and they'll drive like that. And they'll just make these passes where they're simultaneously driving beside you. One on the left, one on the right, and they both pass right by you at the same time. That is also another tactic of abuse. And what you see right here is the gap. I call it the gap because what they're doing here is that they're establishing a frequency and they're on my accord. So behind me, which I don't have a rear view mirror, they're staging vehicles as we speak. Okay, they're staging vehicles and they're staging the color coordination and they're staging the frequency and the timing. Okay, the speed limit here is 60. Notice everyone is passing you and they don't give a damn about the speed limit because it's the orchestration of the fact that you're being left behind and you're being oppressed. And so it gives you the impression that people are leaving you behind, even though you're following the law and doing what you're supposed to do. And so they'll use this as well. Like, we don't give a damn about the law. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do. Okay? So that's another that's another tactic of abuse. Okay? Again, this portions of the drive now are a little less aggressive. I noticed that they're tapered off of the aggressive driving and the visual stimuli. They have tapered off of that. But, you know, some of the stuff is still here. It's just not here to the extent that it was. Okay. Back when they had me working as a medic, and then they used it to get me out of physician assistant school. We talked about the on-ramp and the white SUVs, right? That common denominator. Here we are again, right? Just like every other vehicular vlog, I talk about the persistent patterns of abuse, and this one is no different, right? I'm coming on the off-ramp here, and what do we have? Lo and behold, the white SUV 1, the white SUV 2, right? Same thing. They've changed a lot of the vehicle patterns to gray now for some reason. And this is what I have to go through on the way in to school. I have like some type of little quiz or something, and you can see the white SUVs on the opposing lane, right? And so this is what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's just like convoys of vehicles. And what happens is what they're doing for some reason is they're pulling up, insinuating this stopping thing. Like this vehicle right here, you see how he pulled up at 50 to 100 feet? I talked about that tactic. Is what they'll start doing is they'll have a bunch of them though. Not just one or two, but they'll have at every single, not every single one, but I would say 80% or more of the intersections or side streets, what you'll get about 100 feet, and these people will start pulling out like this, coming to a stop, coming to a stop, coming to a stop. On the sides of these roads, coming to a stop, coming to a stop, coming to a stop, coming to a stop. Okay. I don't know the deal, but same thing here. And it's like they want you to see them pull up, which I think it's just weird. Like, I don't know what to say, but you'll go down a neighborhood and they'll have like every single intersection a vehicle come up. And again, this isn't the level of what it was. The degree to what it was, you like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, especially between 2014 and 20, I'm going to say 18, 19, especially like 19, I would say 20, definitely way more pronounced. Now it's not as pronounced, and they switched up um, the the intensity of it is what I would say. They switched up the intensity. Okay, so we're just gonna keep going, and see how you see how they did that. See how they abused you with that. They made sure that the biker. Remember we talked about parents and everything like that, white red pattern. What they did is they made sure to have a person and this white SUV pass you at the same time and squeeze you in between. This is what I'm talking about. Just this odd behavior. See how they want to make sure that they both passed you. That's what I'm talking about. It's just like they know that it's a stimulus of abuse, and this is what they want to do. Pass you by. Gray truck, white SUV, and the white SUVs will come around in intervals. If you played it, you'll see that this white SUV deal will come around every so often. Like it's a timing deal. They won't stop it. See, and it's just nonstop using a timing deal. Like every minute, they'll make sure that they pass them by. And sometimes they could turn up the frequency. It just depends on where they're at. But you could see here, if you were to replay everything, they're making sure that they're on my cord and they're driving that white SUV every 45 seconds or every minute. See, you can see it. You could even see it right here as I'm just kind of moving the mouse. You can see how the frequency of it is just persistent, and they're abusing you with it, just like a water drop, like a Chinese water drop, right? Abuse. And they make sure that there's a frequency to it. And that's how they're getting you mentally disturbed. Okay. That's how they're mentally disturbing you, is they're keeping it on a pattern. Just like the silver trucks. The silver trucks, if you go back and look at the video, you'll see that there's a pattern to the silver trucks as well. And they're always trying to orchestrate these patterns. And again, I've always been an AB student. I'm pretty decent, I think, at stats. And I know my medicine. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to perceive probability. And for some reason, I'm abused with these white SUVs. It's nonstop. Now, I'm at this intersection right here, and right behind me, somebody pulled up. And now, the closer I get to school, the more they want to they want to abuse you. Right? It's interesting the way it works. They abuse you more the closer you get to your destination. The closer you are to the destination, they abuse you more. And now they have a white SUV following me. Okay. They have a white SUV following me. I think that's enough. I'm just going to leave it like that. I think I'm done for this video. Okay. I've also shared what happened inside lab today, the pictures from previous vlog, and all that work you could see on my leg here is all muddy from putting in all this work to orchestrate the recovery of my yard, because the city doesn't want to do anything about it and wants to play games. And there's no telling how much money I'm going to have to spend on a lawsuit or an attorney, but I'm going to have to put a claim in. So here I am, and I have a claim for the FCC, and I have a claim for a company, and I have another claim for a company. And it's just like all these lawsuits, all these legal processes, right? It's just crazy. And then no one wants to answer to me. No one wants to answer to me. No one has an answer. Lawyers don't want to talk to me. Judges can't respond. Judges act like they can't read what the fuck I put down on the claim, and they don't want to read it and then they question me and act like I'm stupid. So it's like, could you even imagine going through a lawsuit when you have a judge acting like she can't read? Remember, this is the same state that said it's okay for a Class B felony to occur with my kayak, right? People trying to steal things. So here I am.